Hi everyone, so welcome back, and in this video we're going to be teaching you how to make these ear savers. So the purpose of these is to prevent the back of the mask's elastic from hurting our frontliners' ears. And here in the Philippines we do have a organization of some sort, a community of makers who are making these and sending them over to those who are requesting for donations. So if you're interested, you can check out. I will link them below. They are called Earsavers for Lifesavers PH, and this is just my version of the adjustable one button Earsavers. But since I don't have buttons here at home right now, I just made this crocheted button. So here it is. And it comes adjustable as well, so when the elastics get stretched out, you can just adjust it accordingly. So in this pattern, I'm using size 4 weight yarn, so this is just 12 ply hand-dyed cotton, and then I'm using two different hook sizes. So for the button, I use 3.75 mm just to get it tight, and for the main body, I am using a 4 mm hook. So if you could get your supplies ready, let's get started. Alright, so for today we're going to learn how to make this easy one row, no button, and very minimal sewing ear savers. So this is what they look like when you attach them to the mask. Folded mine at the last buttonhole is around 5 to 5.5 inches, so you can adjust this, make it longer or shorter as possible, but I'm here to show you the version that I made. So I'll be posting also the link to the pattern below, so you can check that out. For this tutorial, we're going to be using just our basic materials. So I have a 3.75 hook, 4 mm hook for the body, like I mentioned earlier, some scissors, a yarn needle for hiding our ends, and of course our yarn. So this yarn is just 12 ply or size 4 worsted weight yarn, and this is 12 ply hand-dyed cotton. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the body of the yarn. So I'm getting my 4mm hook, and we're going to start off with a slip knot. So with the slip knot, I suggest that you leave a long tail first because we're going to hide our ends later. So just make the slip knot, and then we're going to chain 55. So here's a chain: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. So you have 55 chains, and then we're going to start in the 9th chain from the hook. So we count 2, 4, 6, 8. This is the 9th, so we're going to double crochet into the 9th stitch. So yarn over and just insert 1 double crochet. So this is the first buttonhole, and then we're going to chain 2, and then skip 2 chains, double crochet into the 3rd chain, and we're going to repeat that until we have 5 buttonholes. You can add or subtract buttonholes as you find necessary. So we're just going to do that again. Skip 2, double crochet into the 3rd, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the 3rd, last one, chain 2, skip 2, and double crochet into the third. So there we have the 5 buttonholes. And after that, all you have to do is double crochet until you reach the end of the row. So what's great about this project is that no counting is actually necessary except for the first steps where you need to make the buttonholes, but you can easily adjust this as needed. So you can just add more chains, but make sure that in order to start, you start your buttonholes always on the 9th chain from your hook after your starting chain. And you can adjust this according to your yarn as well. So if you're using thinner yarn, just start out with more chains at the beginning, and you can also add more buttonholes by following the chain 2, skip 2, and DC into the 3rd chain. So it's a very versatile pattern and it takes up just a few minutes of your time. So once we're done with our row, this is our last stitch, I chain and then I will leave a tail as long as the tail that we left when we did our slip stitch, our slip knot at the beginning. So I'm just gonna cut that. And then we're going to pull here. Afterwards, we're going to flip it over so the front side of the work is the side facing you while you crochet. So we're just gonna flip it and we're going to weave in the ends to hide them. So I'm just going to thread my needle. This is the pony bent tip needles. I'm not sure if this is available in other countries because we had this special ordered for our store. So we have this in 2 sizes. I'm using the smaller one. So I'm just weaving it in through the back loops. I'll zoom you in so you can see. So there are these lines, these bars at the back of your work. So I'm just gonna weave it in there. So the purpose of the long tail is to make it easier for you to weave in your ends, because if you have a shorter tail, it's harder to thread your needle through. So we're just gonna keep weaving it in until maybe about 1/4 or 1/3 of the way through our work. This is another trick I learned on how to thread your needles. So you fold it in half and run it through just so it's easier and you don't get the frayed ends, but just threading it through the bars at the back. And we do the same for the other side. So what's great about this pattern is that it only takes up 1 row, so it's not as it doesn't require as much yarn as other patterns would if you would have to do several rows, and it's also easier to adjust, especially for beginners. So I did that with beginners in mind, and also for some people who have limited yarn stocks at home and want to donate, this is also a great project to just stash bust. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to have some cotton yarns in stock because I'm allergic to some acrylic yarns. I get itchy. So most of my hoards from before are all cotton. And this is a great way to use up all the smaller bits that I have left over since they're not enough for one big project. Alright, so once you've finished weaving in your ends, you're gonna have tails like that. So we're just going to cut it off at the stem. Be careful not to cut your stitches though. That would be difficult and would cause fraying. So there we go. And we have finished our main body. Alright, so the next part is how to crochet the button. We're going to start off with our yarn again, and I want you to leave a long tail, maybe around 4 to 5 inches. And we're going to do a magic ring. So with the tail of your yarn in front, this is and the other side attached to the yarn ball at the back, we're going to wrap it around like so. So this side is the one that's attached to the yarn ball, and the front loop is the one that's loose, the long tail we left. So once you wrap it around your 2 fingers, you grab your hook under the front, hook the back, and hold. You have to hold here. Then get your tension ready. Oops, in the back. Pull. Make sure that you support that little loop you got there, and then you just chain 1 to lock it in. So there you have your magic ring. And then we're going to single crochet 12 into the ring. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So the magic ring is usually used in amigurumi so that you don't have a big starting hole at the beginning. But we will pull it until it's just right that there's a hole in the center, but not too tight that we completely close it off. Now here is where it gets a little bit tricky, but this is for a puffier button. Alright, so make sure that the tail of your yarn, make sure that the tail of your yarn is here in the back. We're not going to crochet over it, so we're just going to insert our hook into the center again, grab in a single crochet, but you have to pull up the loop that you just grabbed before finishing off your single crochet. So what we're doing is we're doing a single crochet over the previous round instead of into the V's on top like we would normally do. So we're going to repeat that for 14 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So you can add more if you feel like it's necessary, but I find that 14 stitches or the first 12 work fine for me. So after this, we're just going to slip stitch into the first stitch, and you can see that it's marked by the tail that we left. We didn't crochet over this but it will serve a purpose later. So we're just going to slip stitch into the first loop. So if you find it hard to find the first stitch, you can also mark it with a stitch marker. But like we did earlier, we're just going to chain one and leave a long tail. This tail can be longer than the back tail. So I'm just leaving an extra around 2.5 inches. And then we're going to pull it through tightly. Alright, so remember that hole we made? So from the tail from our magic ring, we're just going to pull. And this is why it's called a magic ring. Ta-da! The hole becomes smaller. So just keep pulling, pull tightly until the hole is as small as you can get it. So this is our button. Now we're going to use these tails to sew it onto the project. So with the tail from where we threaded off earlier, just going to thread again your needle, and then we're going through the back loops now. We're going through the back of the button, and we're going to thread this to hide it as, sorry. We're going to thread it through the back until it is on the opposite side as the thread A from our magic ring. So it doesn't really matter if it's exactly across, but roughly there is good enough. So here I got it in 2 steps. There you go. So your final button is supposed to look like this. So you have your button and the 2 ends on opposite sides of each other. Now we're going to take our yarn, our first piece again, and on the end with the slip stitches, we are going to count from the end 1, 2, 3 on the 4th. Insert your hook and pull through one side of the button's strap and through the other side. So we are going to put the 4th stitch between the 2 tail ends of the yarn to hold it together. So you can see here, I'll zoom you in a while. Oops, there you go. I'm sorry, the autofocus is really bad, but this is the 4th stitch from the back. That's what it looks like. So we have the 2 ends coming in on either side of that stitch. And then, actually, no sewing necessary. What I did was I just knotted it. So we're going to knot it 3 times. So 1, 2, and then 3. So we've knotted it 3 times there. Now from the back again, since we knotted it over the 4th chain, we're now going through the 5th and the 3rd chain. So what I'm doing is after the 5th chain, so this is the 5th chain, I'm just going to grab my hook and pull one end again through to bring it to the front where the button is. Oops, there's hair. And then the 3rd stitch, get the other loop, bring it to the front. So now you have the 2. So what happened was we went through 3 different stitches to secure our button. So once it's in the front, what I just do is I knot it again 3 times here between the piece and the button. So just be careful with this. Knot it 3 times on the top, and then flip it over, bring your yarn to the other side and knot again 3 times. Two and 3. Make sure that your knots are tight if you have other knots that you know that are more secure than this, feel free to use it. But after that, you just grab the two tails again and then snip it off as close, but not at the root of the stitch. So I usually cut it around here. Oops, sorry. Cut it around here. I leave about like a 1 centimeter, I think. And there you have it. Your no button, easy crocheted Earsaver. Now you can make a lot of these to give out. Preferably pledge some if you have supplies available at home to your local hospitals, healthcare centers, and whatnot. And I hope that we're using this time to be more productive. I hope that we're doing all that we can to make sure that this blows over safely, and I hope that all of you are doing safe in your homes. I'll see you in the next tutorial, and I hope that you're able to make a lot of these to donate. Thank you, bye!